if we start including like Australian animals, then it just blows this whole thing out.
Does it? I like native animals in zoos. Like
that's
not
not
in,
a
not,
zoo.
not
That's
in
the
zoos,
country. The
in
country.
wildlife areas.
Just the whole country is a zoo.
Because before we
if
start
that's
the
case.
segment, I just want you to know I'm very against zoos as a whole.
Oh, me too. I think they're monstrous places.
Yeah.
We're taking animals objectively as like this is just where they can be found, or is that what we're?
Huh?
We don't want to talk about zoos too much. We just talk about animals.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So, but we didn't want to just tier rank animals because there's too many animals. So I tried to limit it to zoos.
To zoo animals. Okay. Yeah.
But then it was like, oh, well, Australian animals count as it because there's koalas there, but that doesn't count. Okay, so here's what I've got so far.
Yep.
Welcome back. Lion, giraffe, elephant, gorilla, the dumb bird enclosure, leopard, monkeys. Am I missing anything
The
significant?
dumb bird.
Well,
Okay,
there's just a
before we
lot
get
of
in,
birds at zoos.
While-
I mean, there's wildlife sanctuaries and stuff. Do
while
they count?
chat fills up, we are about to get into maybe game of the night of direwolves versus the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Chiefs still undefeated.
Wolves.
Direwolves pushing. Wolves are not in zoos.
Zoos.
You just said direwolves, and so I made a League of Legends related joke.
I like it. Is chat any useful suggestions about zoo animals?
Alpacas,
Alpacas.
I've never seen
Okay,
an
I've
alpaca.
never seen
one at a zoo.
What
I've
about
seen
a penguin?
meerkats,
At a farm.
meerkats.
What about penguin?
red
Cassowary.
pandas,
Cassowary.
Cassowary. How about we just put pandas in general?
And so how are we ranking these? Because I've already
Cheetahs.
forgotten what we're doing.
Okay, quokkas. So we're just like, what is the best zoo animal? Because I know what it is.
Okay.
And we just need to figure out
What is
Penguin.
the category for best?
the one that when you get there. Okay. Oh, this is interesting.
You're most
Okay.
excited to
Okay,
see.
what is the... Well, because it could be that. Or is it the animal that, like, flourishes the most in the zoo?
Or I was going to say, is it the most entertaining animal in the zoo? Because there are some animals that you just walk past and you tick it off the list,
Then
right?
it's a seal.
I
Snow
saw
leopard.
the lion.
It says...
I have never seen a snow leopard in
I'm
a
not going to say
zoo.
that name.
I think it's a seal.
A snow leopard?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because they hide so well.
They're just not in zoos.
Yes, they are.
You just haven't seen them in the snow enclosure.
Whale. Blue whale.
Okay.
Okay, now I'm just taking the piss.
sun.
Okay, cool. Rhinos? Have you seen a rhino in a zoo?
No.
That's not a safari animal. That doesn't count.
My
Who said
answer is
rhinos?
still seals.
Seals are pretty entertaining.
Seals. Why the seals?
They're just great.
They
just
just
get-
tricks.
They get
But
super
see-
rowdy.
Because they can catch balls.
The
and stuff?
enclosure is usually your eye line is like where they're swimming.
Yeah.
And like that's amazing.
But see, I don't
Penguins
like
is good
seals.
for that as well.
I
Couple
do
of
like
reasons.
animals where you can see above and below. Like any water-based one where it's like,
like
oh, here's how
sharks.
they are here, and then it's like penguins just...
But they're not supposed to be... Like, I know none of these animals are.
Yeah.
But if a seal bites you, you like lose the limb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they have so much bad bacteria in their mouth.
Yeah.
They're not supposed to be around humans. And lots of seal handlers get bitten while they're trying to teach them those tricks.
Yeah.
So I think I'm fundamentally against seals. I think I'm disqualifying seals because I think, like, even though all of these animals are not supposed to be in zoos,
Yeah.
seals are at the top of the list of not supposed to be treated the way they're treated.
Now, Vuntian says everyone loves otters. I'll put
Otters are,
down
yeah,
here.
fair.
Yeah, everyone loves otters apart from the people that otters club over the head with the rocks and then...
The people that otters club over the head.
Have you not heard about what otters do with small mammals?
Oh, no, I have heard that.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Yeah, true.
So no, not everyone
not
loves
both.
otters. Otters are monsters.
I think giraffe is probably the best
Absolutely they are.
animal. I think giraffe or elephant. When I'm going to the zoo, I'm looking for scale. Giraffes, when you see a giraffe in person, you just go, how does that thing exist?
Well, the
it
other-
doesn't even have, did you know giraffes don't have vocal cords? Do you know that they can't talk? All they can do is just...
Imagine trying to get something out of the stomach to the mouth
Yeah.
through a vocal cord. That'd be nuts.
The longest cords
the
of all
air
time.
pushing out.
But the thing is giraffes also, to my understanding, and I'm probably going to get flogged for this, don't need a ton of exercise. And
Yeah.
also are a lot more dietary diverse than a lot of creatures.
Interesting.
As in,
Okay.
like, bad leaves don't upset their stomach. So they are actually more happy in a zoo than other animals. Obviously still miserable,
Yeah.
but much happier. Do you know
But also-
when male giraffes fight each other as well, they smack each other's necks together,
I've seen it.
and then the victorious male... Okay, maybe too far.
Right, okay.
But yeah,
think
that's
we all
what they
know
do.
where you're
Yeah.
going.
Just Google that one.
The other great thing about giraffes is that they have the best view in the zoo.
They do.
So in not only in Sydney View, they literally look out over the harbour.
That's
it's
true,
amazing.
yeah.
But because of the necks, they can see what's going on. Like the giraffe is like the
nosy neighbours of the
Yeah,
zoo.
like I was going to say either a cop or the town
Well,
gossip.
it's
Yeah.
good that they can't speak. Is I think the important thing
Oh, that's so interesting.
because they could
Imagine
be
if
the
you taught them to
messenger.
write.
They have all the knowledge, but
Yeah.
they can't communicate it.
We need to teach
Oh,
them
that's
to
kind of
paint.
sad.
I-
Maybe
okay.
that is an OPL segment.
So-
if we could see if we could get a giraffe. To
I
talk.
still think that the best animal is a polar bear.
Yeah.
Because I think it hits that, like,
Bless you.
its
Thank you.
size. Like, they're massive.
Yeah.
They're, obviously, it's amazing to see one. They shouldn't be there, but it's amazing to see them.
Yeah.
And they also have the water and land
They're pretty cool.
diversity.
Yeah. Okay. Muslim123 says, "Can giraffes throw up?" That's a good question. Can you? Someone Google that. Someone Google that and tell me.
What else have you got on the list? Because I want to
Stop
make sure we
ignoring
have it.
lemurs. Okay. So, are we saying the giraffe is number one?
Yeah, so far.
Skimmy.
I'm just wondering, the entire time I was like wondering, are giraffes introverted or extroverted? Do you think they're like one of those people that sit there and they're just massive thinkers?
Do they get a say in it?
I think
Because
that-
they're
I
introverted.
think they're definitely
No,
big
because like
thinkers.
they see everything, they observe everything, they have so much context
But they can't
they
speak.
can't express it.
They're like Nick Boy.
Production
without
just
being
told
able
me
to
giraffes
speak.
can throw up. So
Okay.
there you go. Someone in the chat said I'm like a giraffe as well.
Well, it's the people watching is the comparison I'm making
True.
here.
Introverted people
But
watching
you
who
could
can't
speak.
talk.
And with long, skinny legs that might break off if you run too quick.
Yeah, and sort of splotchy. Okay, so then we've got lion, elephant, gorilla.
Lion is like D tier.
D
Shit
tier?
animal.
Shit animal.
Yeah.
Well, in
He hates
zoos
the
they are
lion
because they
thing.
rarely get a chance to sort of flourish.
Well, no, they're especially because like it's lion, not lioness, who are the laziest creatures ever that only get up to fight in real life.
right.
So when they're in a zoo by themselves, just sit around doing jack shit.
What
They're the
about
Conor
if you?
McGregor of the zoo.
What about if you see a lion roar when you're there? Because I think like
Have you
Nah.
ever?
Yeah,
Has anyone
once.
ever? You
Yeah.
have? Oh, okay.
Nah, low tier animal.
Do we all love?
Lioness,
do we all love
awesome.
elephants?
Not really. I mean,
The elephants are adorable.
Elephants are wonderful.
They-
There's
pay.
always a baby elephant as
Yeah.
well.
I
And
think it's
they're
like a
very
majestic
caring
beast,
animals.
right?
They're
Kind of
better
like, you're kind
painters
of
than
in
you guys.
awe of what it is.
Yeah, I'm putting elephants as two. I love
bear.
me a snow leopard.
I've never seen a
I've
snow
never seen
leopard.
one.
I've
no.
seen a
Are we
snow leopard.
disregarding polar bear in this?
Polar bear. Polar bear's good. Have I seen a polar bear?
Yeah, at SeaWorld.
Okay. Polar bear's pretty good. Elephant's much better in the wild. Obviously, it's much better.
They're all better in the
wild.
I like penguins. I'm going to say penguin is tied first.
Okay, how about we just put all the cold animals together? So we'll put panda, snow leopard, penguin.
We thought this through, by the way.
How is a
did.
panda a cold animal? Don't they only live in hot climates?
Did you mean to say panda?
I said, sorry, polar bear, snow leopard, penguin.
Okay.
I didn't mean to say panda.
Yeah.
I'll put alpaca in there.
Alpaca is not a zoo animal.
It's definitely not a zoo animal.
Alpacas guard sheep.
I only see
Yeah.
it like,
They're
it was
like-
like farm festivals or like.
Well,
Seals,
the farm
that's
where I live has
seals,
alpacas.
It's cold enough to be a seal. Seals is cold. I'll put that in there as well. How do we feel about the gorillas?
I like gorillas.
I think
Yeah.
gorillas are pretty
And
alpha.
they're just a display of like raw power.
They are.
Yeah.
They just
They're
alpha
pretty
on
alpha.
everything. They're
Like,
pretty alpha.
They
They're the
stand up
definition
and
of
bust
alpha.
their chest. It's just
I
like.
see enough of
don't
them
even
in
come at
solo
me.
queue.
Oh, well. Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I mean, we're all forgetting monkeys, which is a real shame.
Monkeys are like, they're
I'm
fine.
being told rosters, but we haven't finished the list. So just
Monkeys
cool
are a
you guys.
pest, in my opinion. They're annoying.
A pest.
Yeah.
We'll put them as 6.
Especially after hearing them bite people for peanuts.
7 for leopard. Meerkat 8. I can't make pandas 9. Pandas are equal second with elephants. I'm just going rogue on this list.
It's just writing numbers.
And then we've got
The bird enclosure is last with lions.
so
Lions-
lions 9, bird enclosure, otters 10, bird enclosure 11. Okay, here's the list. This is the official OPL tier list of animals. This has
Made by
been-
Nick Boy, past the number 2.
It's been a great use of 5 minutes. We really filled the time while those players filled into the studio. Number 1, giraffe. Number 2, elephant. Tied 3, penguin, seal, snow leopard, polar bear. Yep, that's it. 4, gorilla.
So
5, something, can't find it. 6, monkey. 7, leopard. 8,
You didn't write a
meerkat.
5.
9, lion. 10, otters. 11, bird enclosure. I didn't write a 5.
Yeah, I didn't see
Quick,
a
we
5
got
on
we
there.
got to sub in a 5. Quick. I'll write the number first. 5.
Parrots.
The people. At the zoo.
people. Oh, that's pretty.
That's good.
That's a real political statement.
that
There
is.
you go. That's the OPL official tier list of zoo animals. As always, it is important to remind you, unless they're a sponsor of our show, zoos are just monstrous places to be. All right, it is time to dive into the final game of the evening. It is
Chiefs.
Thank you very much. I was just making sure you knew. Oh my God.
Did I pass?
Yeah, because I was in your head with all the zoo animals. So I was like, well, we got to bring it back to Lee.
It's like the teacher calling out the person that's like falling asleep in class.
Yeah, tell you, where they don't even look, where it's like, I'm faking it over here.
Yeah.
Jake's all red because he's like, I wouldn't have been able to answer that question. All right, we've already seen the Chiefs put on something of a clinic today. I don't know. It was a bit rough there at the beginning, but then they turned it around in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Chiefs are still decisive and good team fighters.
But then obviously, a controversial opinion, Jake. But then obviously, Direwolves could present a bit more of a challenge for them.
Yeah, absolutely should. I said they were the most informed team, and then they got beaten by the Legacy yesterday, who then subsequently lost to Gravitas. So maybe Direwolves are actually the worst team in the league. However, I'm expecting big things from this Direwolves lineup. They've been in form lately, and they seem to have been on the ramp up.
Kajola953 in the chat says, Nick Boy just called the place I work at monstrous. I just want to point out, we didn't call you monstrous, we called the idea of it. I'm fine with the fact that you have a job. However, we did call you the 5th best animal in the zoo. All right, so let's get the Chiefs lineup, please, before someone gets really angry at me because we're still talking about animals. Skimmy, talk us through Chiefs.
Same as always, it's going to be Tien in the top lane, Croc as your star jungler, Claire in the mid lane, and Katsuri and Korea CK in the bottom lane with Coach Seal. So, big expectations for them in this game here to really keep themselves undefeated, really.
Look how good that coach is. He's warming the boys up. He's ready to go. Rusty, hey, Direwolves, please.
Oh yeah, I can talk through the roster.
Yeah.
I just saw upstairs, actually, I'll talk about it as I get to him. Chippies is your top laner, mid, jungle, shock mid, Vital, whose shirt actually says bowstring still in the AD carry position, so it must have been a late change in that name. And Decoy is your support with Coach Kai.
There you go. That is the Direwolves. That is the Chiefs. This is Game 4, and this is Macca's champ. Select.
It's going to be the final game of week number 6 as the Direwolves take on Chiefs, looking to try and resemble that strong mid game they had against Legacy, but close things out there. Hot at the heels, sitting in 3rd place, wanting to guarantee themselves as a contender for the 1st and 2nd spot.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Direwolves with a big point to prove. Chiefs looking for consistency. Hello, everybody, by the way. It's me, not Spawn, for the last game. We've subbed in, so if you're wondering why Spawn sounds different, it's because it's not Spawn. It's what people would say looks like Spawn, but he isn't. It's Rusty.
It's a new look, a new cast, new voice, but the last game. The Chiefs going to change things up a little bit here in this ban phase. Going to actually take away the Varus. Just want to make sure that they have a very strong matchup and don't fall victim to a CC heavy chain, which we saw coming out of Direwolves yesterday. You talked about it being a very Chinese-esque comp with the press and R button and things happen.
The big R button, global or lane focused type of composition. So let's take stock once again. Direwolves are on the red side of the map here. Skimmy, where Chiefs are going to be on the blue side. This is always important when the Direwolves are playing because they have Chippies and Shock as their solo laners. Chippies always loves himself a good counter pick. He'll sometimes play the weak side type champions, but that usually means that somewhere else wants those big counters. So Direwolves always a danger when they get onto the red side of the Rift. But we look at the Chiefs side already, and I feel like this is the makings of the draft, and if you're familiar with other regions, you probably know where they could be going. We'll see how this one does play out as we heard some things here from Katsuri about not wanting to reveal any strategies just yet until they played the Direwolves. So looking forward to seeing what that is.
Yeah, didn't want to reveal really in that top lane for Tien and for the others, I'm sure. But this is going to be a bit of a blaster pass with a first pick onto center.
And already an early priority shift here from Direwolves taking the Cassiopeia away. We saw that top lane for Tien, and while it may not have been the best overall performance, there was a lot of focus going towards him with a Kiana ganking constantly, a Gragas there as well with Predator. It's a hard life, but Shock's always been a big Cassiopeia player. I believe it was one of his original champions that he first climbed to high ranks with. Thereabouts with a Zillion, I believe. I don't know if Chippies plays it, so you would expect that that's in part a takeaway, and in part just going towards the comfort for Shock.
that's going to be the Akali as well. We've seen what Tien can do on this champion before, when he played up against Order, and he ran rampant. And he was able to find some good skill expression there to lock down those key targets. Lock down the likes of an Immobile Misfortune.
Yeah, so we also are looking at the center Tahm Kench on the other side here by the Chiefs. If you have seen other regions, a lot of the time it is the Tahm Kench who is farming, it is the center who is playing the support role. It does transition in a similar way to the funnel comps that we saw last year trend to work. So the center will just be harassing as a support until you start to get those stacks up on your support item, but you also get stacks up as an AD carry with your soul passive. So tends to be how that goes. We await to see where the response is from the Dials on the other side, and it presumably is going to be the Karma in bot lane with that Misfortune. It's not confirmed, but that is the most likely outcome. And so it's a heavy push, high harass lane to try and really prevent that Tahm Kench from getting any CS at all. It's going to be a nice thing if they can secure that.
It's only going to be our third Tahm Kench and second support center in this split. So you can start to understand now as the draft unfolds why they were hiding things, because things will definitely open up out of the gates here in a very different fashion.
A lot of target bans there by Direwolves at Croc as well.
Absolutely.
Still some options on the table with Olaf, Elise, and Italy gone. You've got your Lee Sin there. If you still wanted to pick that one, that's something that the Direwolves may consider, especially with the other option I was going to say now, ban. In the Rex side, you've still got the Gragas. Never discount the possibility of that, though. There's no Baz in this game, so the priority may drop just a little bit.
He's played Lee Sin and he's played Jarvan.
Yeah.
Otherwise, as you say, his hero pool, champion pool that's found the most success has been denied away from him. Lee Sin now taken off, so it leaves him into a Jarvan situation.
So while Jarvan is a potential option, Lee Sin's good into the Tahm Kench as well. You have the capabilities of revealing an Akali, not to mention with your E and your Q. So I think that is just the best pick of the choices. And while that does give some extra perhaps team fight capability or engage over to the opposing side, I do think the Dials should be very happy with what they have right now. And while we await the last pick here, with a good damage mix now put into the fray by this Lee Sin pick, top lane could be any champion. He waits to see what the response will be, what the choice is by the Chiefs, and if it is confirmed as an Akali top lane, for an example, you could play something like a Poppy if you wanted to. You know, maybe not have the best time in laning phase super early, but you become a powerhouse and you counter a lot of their strength through the Jarvan engage and the Akali later. Those are possible. I'm not saying he's going to lock in the Poppy. I spent all of last year trying to convince Chippy to play it, and he did it once for me. I got one out of him, so probably not going to happen.
Very mechanically gifted, so we'll get to see where he decides to take things. Chiefs have finalized their composition. They were considering Ryze for a second, would have given him a fair bit of map control between Tahm Kench and Ryze ults, but he's going to stick with the set.
Yeah, and we have seen this matchup with Tien playing Akali into set, and it was Swiper who was playing the set. And if you cast your mind back to that, Skimmy,
it's pretty brutal.
It was Tien getting solo kills on the Swiper. So that was one of those matchups where you watched it play out and you're like, damn, I really want to be the Akali in that. There's just so much room to outplay with the Shroud, you know, with the ability to poke them down. But you know, at the same time, if the outplays don't happen, and Chippy is a very mechanical player like you mentioned, has got a lot of health regeneration being the set, and you can still put some good damage down with a decent amount of AoE in your kit.
So what game plan are we looking at here right now for the Chiefs? Obviously we've got the very strong jungle mid matchup, especially when level 6 comes online. You've got the protection in the bottom lane with a lot of CC.
Yeah, I mean, one thing we didn't really talk too much about with the Orianna being added in as the last pick is that Jarvan Orianna, good team fighting composition, and their scaling is fantastic. So you'd expect a 1-4 type of gameplay from the side of the Chiefs, but as the game progresses, as they start to get levels and experience, it's not just a 1-4 with Akali threatening. Tahm Kench can move anywhere around the map pretty quickly, so that's what you would expect to see, right? You could set up a 1-4 type of assignment and then have have Tahm Kench roam to those side lanes and really influence it. And that could be a really large amount of pressure onto the Direwolves, especially for someone like Chippy's if he falls behind.
Welcome, Kai. You've run the gauntlet this week, taken on Legacy yesterday, and now up against Chiefs. You come into this one. I'll start with the most generic question. How are the boys feeling coming in off the loss yesterday and into this matchup today?
Like it hurts. Like when we're in that kind of position, like the head of like congrats to Legacy, like they had a magnificent early game plan. But I was really proud of our boys kind of pulling through that. Only 2 of us, I think, had ever experienced lane swaps, and only 1 had extensively done it before. Yeah, you have to remember, like one of our players, this is his first year of actually playing competitive, so they had no idea really what to do. But they pulled it out. They got back to a winning position, and then it was, yeah, just a bit of a throw from us. Like it just a little bit of like we weren't really. The word's escaping my mind right now, but yeah, we weren't disciplined enough. That was it.
Gotcha. Now, talk to me a little bit about this draft in particular. There's been multiple questions. We had a bit of a back and forth in the game before between myself and Spawn about how do you try and take down Chiefs? What is the optimal strategy? I saw a lot of priority going towards banning out Croc's champion pool. Do you feel like that's an area to exploit?
I don't think it's an area to exploit, no. Like, we really just want to kind of put Croc and Miru, who I think are definitely the best 2 junglers at the moment, up against each other, and then see who gets kind of the information game. And then we've been working on our vision for Miru. He's on a comfortable matchup, but again, like Croc has a really good pick versus our team. Miru has a really good pick versus Croc.
Yeah.
So it comes down to what's going to be more. Can we abuse more, or will it kind of get to the team fights, and Croc and his team, who are a fantastic team fighting team, able to pull it out there, which has been a little bit of our weakness. Our team fights haven't been great so far, so we need to up that. That's something that we're painfully aware of right now as coaching staff and playing staff, and yeah, it's not actually a difficult part to fix.
Without going too far into the drafting rabbit hole here, as I know we could be there for hours, you banned a lot of magic damage junglers away from Croc, so it seems like this was a conscious choice for the matchup for Miru. And was this at the same time just trying to find a mage for Shock as the matchup in mid lane?
No, we're pretty confident with what Shock was going to play. Like, we're all on a very high opinion of Shock, probably being the best mage player going around right now. And then, like, we were like, if we take particularly Cassiopeia, we don't really care what mage he's going to play. He's not going to beat it. He has to go to an assassin, which is going to sacrifice this team's kind of style. So we're comfortable to do that. And, you know, not to say that Claire's not a fantastic mage player as well, but I kind of just put my money more on Shock in this matchup. So we were really comfortable with that. We spent a lot of our stuff really on this jungle matchup, and then finding out where that Akali's going. So we just kind of wanted to see, you know, where Thien was going, if Thien was going to take that, or if Claire was going to take that.
Okay.
And on a final note, what would success, apart from victory obviously, but what would success look like for you guys in this game here?
Yeah, just like a nice clean win. Like, I still think we've got probably the best early game macro-wise out of the top teams at the moment, and just continuing to show that even when another team like Legacy yesterday had a magnificently pre-planned one, we were still able to use our basics, go back to what we always do well, and still bring it out and be like, hey, like, we're still, you know, pretty hard to contest in these first 15 minutes, and then it comes to going into Gauntlet, what can we do with the 16 to 30 minute mark to start getting these victories and not be the 3rd place team anymore.
Beautiful. Well, absolute best of luck there, Kai. As we jump in to the final game of week number 6. It's a big one. First place taking on 3rd. It's the Chiefs up against the Direwolves here, Rusty.
Yeah, and I do think it's interesting if you were to really look at the Direwolves as a team. If we look at the top 2 teams around them, as we are seeing a pretty aggressive trade in mid, but Shock will run out of mana, so there's no kill threat. Chiefs are a team fighting team for sure. Legacy seem like a late game, like scaling type of team, but they do often get those early game leads, and then they're pretty methodical, right, in the way that they want to close out those games. Direwolves seem to be stronger early. That's always been pretty true with the players that are on this roster. You know, the early strength is fine. But 16 to 30 is awkward for this team, because do you team fight is a question. Do you 1-3-1 like other teams tend to do? That's always going to be a question. Can you do both and still be able to win the OPL? Like, if you can master both, then I think the answer is yes. But do you have enough time to do that in split 1? So it's a weird spot for Direwolves to be in, and I am excited to continue to watch them as they grow and see which direction that becomes, because they are at that like week 6 crossroads type of point.
Yeah, and I think it's probably the best time, if there ever was a time, to sort of really check in with your power level, your own self-assessment, as well as those results themselves.
Yeah.
To see if those scrims can translate. Now, keep a stock on the map right now.
Yeah, look at both junglers. They're on the exact opposite sides of the map looking for opportunities. Croc looking top lane is being an alcove warrior. Chippy's wave is super awkward, so he's actually the most likely to die. Bot lane Miru does reset, mid does reset, so this is on top.
Tien's looking for it, opening up with that shuriken, dashing on through past that smoke screen. Croc unable to really find the mobility to get that flag and drag on. Both junglers investing a fair bit of portion of their time.
Unable to exert any pressure.
Yeah, a little bit of an earlier reset from Croc, so time spent earlier, a decent amount of it as well. The ward that they had on Krugs just died, so he's not going to know that Mir's there until right now. So he is going to spend even more time finding the Lee Sin. And it's not just him, Claire's going to do the same thing. So once they spot him though, another ward gets placed, it's going to see the Raptors. They're tracking this Lee Sin from the moment they've found him now for the next minute if they can, to try and keep him away from getting ganked. So level 6 is now the point that Mir has to look towards. But the last time we saw his Lee Sin, it was a lot more aggressive and a lot earlier, trying to catch people in his own jungle.
Obviously respecting the opponents he's going up in this game, realizing that he'll need those key items, those key power spikes, those key levels, if you will, to catch out Croc, who may have the same idea in mind on these ganks. Been pretty static in the bot lane. Korea CK hanging under his tower, picking up whatever CS he can manage to find, but Vital is starting to break away here with a small little lead.
It's really hard to deal with a Karma and a Misfortune, so naturally they should be able to build themselves a CS lead, and I think if you're looking at the matchup, as it continues, it starts to equalize, but I think that CS difference will just stay.
Yeah.
So it'll equalize, relatively speaking. Mir's just going to use that bot side tempo. He's going to find himself a Drake. People may not know where he has gone, but they saw him leave the Raptors to bot side. So now they have that information. And now we have a giant spot on the Tahm Kench. He's going to have a bit of a better time farming. And so that does start to, simmer down.
Obviously has a beautiful passive in that he can convert that into a big shield, or...
He also has a Senna healing him, which is, again, one of the really unique strengths of this funnel lane. A lot of the older ones were a little bit harder to do. Tahm Kench is one of the few enabling tools, and he was just too tanky, so it didn't really matter what the other champion was. But this time around, Senna harasses, Senna heals, Senna prevents you from being ganked with the E, has range crowd control. Like, that champion just has too much to enable a Tahm Kench to be rampant.
Makes it very easy, especially when that goes out. Can be followed up by a lick from Big Tommy.
Katsuri's W cooldown will be a couple seconds away.
Now, Chiefs are kind of getting baited into a false sense of security. They've only got a ward in their tri-bush. Because he used the jump cone across, he's going to get that dash ward kick. Lead time goes in with the Devour, chucking his member out. He's got a big grey health bar, converts into shield, buying a lot of time. Chippy's on the flank, Chippy's using teleport. Tien now rocks on up, getting instantly showstoppered as he flashes back into his smoke screen. He wants blood, but he's going in 1v4. Adventurous, confusing.
Yeah, Tien may have been able to survive, maybe. Hard to say, but he chose not to in the end. Wanted to put some damage down and consign himself to death. At the end of the day, 2 kills go over to the side of Direwolves with one of the earliest, most prepared teleports and team-wide plays that I have seen coming out of the roster. Chippius was there before Tien knew what hit him.
Chiefs will be ramping up in these later stages of the game, however, because if you look at their inventory, 3 members have stopwatches: jungle, mid, and Tahm Kench.
And now, Chippy's teleports bot. Direwolves have flipped the map to the other side, and there's a wave that is going to be collected by Vital that is huge. They swap with Drake already gone towards the Herald. So far, very good from the Direwolves playing around the map. That's not to say they won't be reacted to by the Chiefs. You have to be happy with how they've played this one out so far after that bot lane play.
Bot lane going to stay down there for the meantime and get as much free CS to even out that difference between the likes of Tahm and Misfortune.
It gets continued. The aggro stays. Not going to be reset yet.
Managed to crash that wave in as they're slowly making their way up without boots. They're now in the mid lane. Rift Herald will be picked up here by Chiefs. Direwolf's going to make them work for it. But they will, with little hesitation, be able to collect that one for free.
The Tahm Kench and the center move their way up where the set can't actually influence this. We'll see this fight again. Now, Lee Sin's got a weird interaction with Tahm Kench, where if he saves the target, he gets knocked up. So it's really difficult to be a Tahm Kench then, when yes, you've saved Katsuri, but you're knocked up with Karma using W on you. So Decoy's locked him down before he can even use the flash. And at this point, Tien clearly sees I'm dead and just chooses to go in and trade with his opponents. Katsuri can't do anything to help him. No heal left as that was on cooldown. Look at the Herald.
I love the death animation there with Tahm Kench. He's just pulling the emoji face, sticking out his tongue.
And they're choosing to keep these lane assignments. You mean they're choosing to keep the Akali top lane with the center and the Tahm Kench in bot. It can't be easy as the center to get constant procs off against the one person hiding.
No.
But if they can push it into the turret, then it's free. But you can already see the reset comes out of Katsuri, walking towards the jungle where the Jarvan is, perhaps going to place some pressure down towards mid lane with Vision before going back to bot.
Well, ultis are online now for that bottom lane, so expect to see some cross-map cannons, maybe some sneaky pond teleports.
Doesn't one hit the turret. They're about to plate off that.
Fair chunk of damage to try and expose this tier 1 mid turret. Chippy's on the flank, does have ult, does have flash. Tread's the only completed item in his inventory so far. Mobility is crucial. Tenacity even more so.
I wonder if Mir even needed to use that ward hop to safety there. If the Jarvan goes on him, he had reinforcements standing nearby, inclusive of the Karma. I don't think there was enough burst to actually take him down, but not to be known, he uses his ward hop to safety. We are hitting that level 6 point. We saw Mir active on the Rift with his first ultimate. Now it is up again. Shock has got the flash, has got the ultimate of his own, and just teleports to mid lane and is about to get the blue buff. So he is strong at this moment. You're looking to see what they can do next, right? We're talking about that level 1 till 15 odd minutes in the game, like Kai mentioned, they start to struggle. Well, this is where they're meant to be strong. They're only 800 gold ahead right now. You wouldn't say that's enough to snowball a game out, but the second Drake's up.
It'll be an Infernal Drake, so we've got a map that has some ideas in the wings. That's the baby teleport, if you will. Say you're a Rise. Vital does have boots.
He does.
But he won't be able to outrun that one.
No, but we can still celebrate the fact that he has boots at 11 minutes in the game. May even have got them earlier. This makes me happy after yesterday.
It was destiny that you were put on the broadcast for this cast here, Rusty.
He's back into my good books.
Well, Chiefs find a pick, and they can even out the scoreline on that Drake. Nero is going to take that opportunity to go ahead and steal away some wolves. Some of his own brethren.
He's a little bit behind in farm compared to Croc, and that also is reflected through experience. So this opportunity to take jungle monsters away while his opponent is taking the Drake should catch him up in experience pretty nicely. But it does still mean that the second Drake of the game goes over to the Chiefs. And I feel like a broken record saying it again, but second Inferno is pretty useless.
Yep.
It's nice to take that from the Direwolves, though. They body them out. They also get the kill under the Misfortune, so it was always going to be a free objective. However, at the same time, plates in top lane, jungle catching up. You could argue, I'm not going to, you could argue there was a lot of work in that.
But there may be a fair bit of work found on this rift, which is now an ocean rift. So we are looking at plenty of honey fruit, plenty of sustain in that regard. Obviously, once that soul comes online, the most devastating to face. Both teams would find a fair bit of value in that utilization. CK does have the dead man's plate right now, so
yeah,
if they had lockdown before,
it's
scarier again.
No time for boots for Korea CK. Maybe he has... No. Okay, no magical footwear to stop what? He's now the new target. Will he get boots? No, he will. He just wanted to rush dead man's plate. It's fine. It's move speed in that item as well.
Yeah, plenty of ramp up as he can wander around, as you can see him doing it right now, stacking up, getting that little blaze behind, the neons, if you will, like a tuned up car. Miru continues to be aggressive, looking around, trying to follow the idea of where this Jarvan is. Jarvan actually going to be going for the recall. He has no vision on this bottom side jungle.
Claire obviously a little bit afraid here, using the blue buff Ollie can to spam Q, maximum levels in his Q as well, so super low cooldown. And he should be scared, and we can see why.
Ward hop in, Chippies was there. But
So-
Claire has the reactions, instantly flash, full respect, and hangs onto his stopwatch.
Seems like it was an awkward angle there perhaps for Mir, because a little bit lagged on following that ward with his hop. But the flash nonetheless from Claire is very worthwhile for them to get for something so simple as presence in that middle lane. Does mean that, of course, you can come back.
Surrey up to 41 stacks now. So definitely working towards the extra range, the extra damage, the critical strike component.
Yeah.
Obviously doesn't get the lifesteal until they have 100% crit chance.
Katsuri, that is, of course, having every 20 stacks being an upgrade. 40
Yep.
is a very good number to check in on.
Big reason why he's a fantastic late game scaling champion.
Second Rift Herald spawns, and that means action.
Yeah.
They turn their sights, I should say, on towards Miru, denying that smite, unable to find it.
Well, just the immediate kick away by Mir, so he doesn't have an engage tool for the coming objective if they were going to start it. Now there is still a very big window of opportunity for them to do it, not at the immediate moment. Maybe set up the wave in top lane first. As Shockwave used in mid, in part to clear the wave, but actually mostly for harass. There was no intent to kill Shock there. Shock doesn't have teleport. So this is a big play, and that's actually pretty nice forced tempo there by Claire. Make sure the mid laner can't contest. They know that Lee Sin has no kick. Very well done, very worthwhile, and wow, and no hesitation. They're just going to break mid.
No hesitation on using that Rift Herald. They want to try and boost this team economy. It's 500 in the lead for Direwolves, 600 of that favoring Misfortune. Once again, Tom goes on through, drops the pond and pops on out, forcing teleport summoners to be used from everybody. Croc goes gold and buying time for these members to join on in. The top laners rock up to the top lane. Croc looks for the flag and Dragon. They execute Vital. A big component of the DPS now out. The most fed farm member of the Direwolves is gone. A second to follow in Chippies. Chiefs using the Rift Heralds and using that tempo to find some kills on the map to now take the lead, 3-2.
Yeah, and again, not the timing that a fight wants to be happening if you're the Direwolves. Fine from the Chiefs. Again, we talked about no teleport on the mid laner. Experience advantage starting to ramp up there as well. No ultimate for the Lee Sin, who does have a back as we speak, but didn't really have that for the fight. And so they picked the correct moment, the Chiefs. Direwolves definitely didn't want that. It's Vital being caught out of position, and once again, it's the Tahm Kench being used aggressively to make that play happen. Center ultimate being global to give Croc some shielding and a stopwatch to make sure that he stays alive. And even though Chippies is coming in here, Claire's going to be the first to rotate. Katsuri's on his way here. And Tien matches the teleport. So they are still going to win this at all times. Shock just going to be left wondering, why is my team doing this? You know, why are they being caught in these positions when I'm not going to be there to help? If that Cassiopeia is there, things could be different.
Two Abyssal Voyagers so far that have both found great effect from Korea CK.
Yeah, he's also at 130 CS for himself, a whole host of money. Katsuri getting closer to the Evolve. As you can see, has got the first level of the support item, is somewhere around the 800 mark, you'd have to imagine now, so getting closer. Fully upgraded. And so he'll start farming.
Chiefs are setting himself up
Oh.
for a bush party.
Yeah, they've got a flank here for free, and it's the kind of flank where a Shockwave could hit anyone that is unsuspecting and just happens to walk through, and they're about to find the Lee Sin.
Miru's been spot on out. Obviously does have that wall dash, but so damn slow between what Tahm Kench can do and from what this Dead Man's Plate offers.
Well, it's gross because, first of all, there's a Glacial Augment from the center as well. So not only are you slowed from long range, the Tahm Kench is fast with a Dead Man's Plate, and then that slows you as well. Very difficult to get away from them if one piece of damage connects. You can see that there. Once again, Mir just not really able to have a use around the map. Just constantly having a kick to disengage.
Shock continuing to build his lead in this 1v1, up by 40 CS. Sitting in the side lane, keeping Claire occupied. Ceres online, working towards that Leandries. Would like some stacks on that Dark Seal.
We are hitting those first item break points for a lot of the players here in the game. Top lane currently exempt for the Direwolves, but you've got a Gunblade there for Tien. Your Essence Reaver has just been purchased by Vital. And the Ceres also upgraded by Shock. 19 minutes, pretty fast there. You'd be very happy with that one.
Very quick, very clean. Both Chief side lanes are pushed on in.
Now, Shock has everything. A Shockwave burst isn't enough to kill him. Croc has gone the AD Jarvan build, though. So between them, it may be enough to get through that Ceres. However, if Shock flashes any of the damage...
Direwolves will find this numbers advantage. They're going to go for the flash dash, forward kick, connect. Shockwave comes out, cross-map snipe. They're going to look for it. A lot of damage coming out from Croc as his Cataclysm lands. Out comes the man that you know and love, Korea CK. Going to be mainly used as a disengagement tool to force Direwolves back.
That's Shockwave on cooldown, so less threat there. Shock can step up. However, the damage is still coming out of Claire. The blue buff is still there to enable him. Now Senna comes in with the heals. This top lane turret feels like it's just inevitable, but they can't auto-attack it because it's not safe. They'll actually have to reset.
Yeah. Cassiopeia is still having the ultimate. Everybody actually still having their ultimate, so it's very difficult to try and walk into. He's going to find a very desirable trade in that bot lane as Tien keeps him occupied.
Yeah, but the Gunblade sustain should just bring Tien back up to the health that he lost, not to mention the fleet footwork that this Akali is running. We've seen a decent CS lead start to build for him, compliments of a Jarvan being there earlier in the game as well.
Nice little sustain moment there.
And I am still going to be talking about Shock through a lot of this game because he is still probably the most important person on the side of the Direwolves at this point. Level 13, massive CS as the mid lane at 230 at 21 minutes.
Yep.
30 odd ahead of his opponent as well, 36 right now. He's always going to be a big deal. And with a Jarvan running around getting ganks off, with an Orianna following through with that combo, someone has to outplay it and get damage off, and so far all we've seen is Vital being the target and dying. So Shock either needs to be there to have a second carry really adding into the mix to win those trades, or just pull off something big himself.
Yeah, a bit of a lull in the action as both supports look to reset now. Vision starting to dwindle away. Control Ward's the only survivors. With Decoy resetting first to be the one in the driving seat to establish that with next Ocean Drake up in 30 seconds.
Yeah, Ocean Drake 3 available, Drake number 3 rather available for the Direwolves. Baron also currently alive. I think at the moment the way that these team compositions play out is that the Jarvan side of the team, Chiefs, will probably be the ones enforcing the play. They'll be ganking, they'll be going first. Direwolves have small amounts of engage there, set flanks, Lee Sin kicks, but we've seen how difficult they are to pull off. So I think objectives are a very easy break point in this game where Chiefs feel the pressure to go in, look for those objectives. They could come towards Direwolves and suddenly that's the engage that they need. As bot lane, that was very delayed by the Chiefs getting in that belly. But they still get the turret.
Look to try and make the play, but they'll go for the turret instead, making it a little bit easier to play these side lanes. The ease of expertise that Katsuri finds with the Umbral Glaive to clear out that vision. Now Croc is on a mission. Goes in for the Cataclysm. Snipe comes out from the center.
Shockwave wasn't there to follow, but Crazy Case just raid bossing his way in.
He's just walking straight up to
Claire
them.
now.
The Shockwave onto 4! That's massive, but the turnaround with the bullet time is that much bigger. Tien is on his own. He wants the kills. He's deep in the jungle. He may just find what he's after. Slam dunk disaster. That's the one kill that they'll find. Triple kill for Claire, the catalyst of success in that initiation. And now they can pick up a Drake as their ultimate prize.
And at a point in the game where it felt like maybe Direwolves were equal in terms of strength, Claire just hits that 4-man Shockwave on the back of Croc, going in aggressively, even without the Cataclysm getting that engage off. And the Chiefs, they will control the Rift. They will control the Ocean Drake and equalize that Drake score. Claire now 3-0-2. Definitely showing his stuff when it comes to majors.
Croc here.
And he starts it off by looking at Decoy. And then smites him and just leaves him in there. Bit of extra damage from the center ultimate. Because Claire wasn't in range, that wasn't ideal, but puts the ball on Croc, trusts him. Trust ball very successful, and then uses the Q forwards off the Jarvan to make sure that Shockwave hits. Now this turnaround almost looks good here from the Direwolves, and really, you'd say it has no right being so. Ceres was used by Shock if that was currently available. I think he takes this fight and maybe looks for some extra kills. Claire's super low on mana, and he may not have seen that as well, as Claire was hiding out of vision and out of sight. What are you doing? That's a Baron, Katsuri, and using your Q on that does damage. That's a Baron, Katsuri, and if you walk in range of the Baron, the enemy team aggroes it, it also does damage.
Plenty of fruit around the map to top himself up, not fully reliant on his own Q ability. So he'll come back topped up healthy. Both mid laners are massive right now. Bounties on their heads. Haven't died. 2 major items completed, working towards those luxuries.
And you know, that last fight was actually pretty close to what looked like, in my mind's eye anyway, the TN pentakill. He just gets into the backline super aggressively, but he doesn't have the Zonias. He is going towards the Leandri's second. He's very actively choosing to go for the third item as the Zonias. Perhaps right now he wants some extra DPS, a bit more consistent damage, just particularly in his lane as well.
Being able to find those flanks, feels like his role is to create pressure, cause chaos, and draw aggro. As the smoke screen went down, 4 members were locked in place, allowing the slow burn as Chiefs were able to mop up the floor.
That's the thing, right? I don't think it's to draw aggro, I think it's to draw eyes towards him. They won't necessarily want to be hitting TN because he will die, he's still pretty fragile, and that's where the Zonias comes in. But if they're looking at him, Shockwave suddenly exists.
My point exactly, right? You're looking at him in the midst, if you ignore him, he's going to cause you some pain.
Exactly, you have to look at him.
And in a situation where you say, well, who do we go for? You can't afford to be making those shot call decisions. They just need to happen.
Banshee's Ale, the next item of choice for Shock. Black Cleaver almost done here as well for mid.
There is a 2-level difference between the junglers.
Yeah.
And that is a scary thing to consider now.
CS is also a little bit more significant than the levels right now.
70 CS difference.
Pretty bad. We're working towards the stone plate, it looks like, here for Croc as well. It's a pretty big item breakpoint for an AD Jarvan, just because you are super fragile. And it seems like he, instead of going straight into a tanky build, he wants that Black Cleaver, wants to be putting some physical damage down for his team. And now he's going to start to build into that tankiness. So that's where that window of opportunity we were talking about the last Drake fight. It's still in effect now for a little bit longer.
Vital's got 2 major items online right now. Doesn't have a stopwatch, fully reliant on the protection of his team.
Look at TN on the flank here as well. If they choose to turn this fight, they can. Actually, Direwolves just used Cassiopeia's W to see the Baron. So if ever they were going to go, it's now.
They're looking for it right now. Double man, Shockman looking for the Cataclysm, and that was clean, that was perfect, that was delivered like you want to see it. Members are gone. The Baron continues. It's been leashed down to 4k health. There is no smite. Direwolves forced to back away from this situation.
This Korea CK is just this indomitable raid boss who was standing in front of them, backs them away. And then once again, Claire cannot miss these shockwaves, and it's easy to do. And if you think why, it's because the Cassiopeia W was down. Java could go, Akali can go, and it was gifted to them on a silver platter in this case as an opportunity to engage, and it's successful. They get the fight and they get the Baron, and we snowball almost out of control.
It was a 2 to 3k gold differences for that one there, Rusty, and as a result, the Baron and a successful skirmish now results in about 5k.
Yeah, so the benches was also taken off Shock by Baron, who's the quiet MVP. And the second that W goes, Shockwave's already on the Jarvan prepared, no hesitation. They come in and it looks so easy from the Chiefs. But that is at the same time good communication from the Chiefs, knowing exactly what they have to wait for. Great patience to be waiting for that as well. But the misstep there for Dire was very clearly on the other side.
Claire, 12k gold to his name, rightfully so. The most fed man on the Rift, putting in a stellar performance.
There's only one person that can kill Korea CK right now on the map. That is Shock. We'll need a blue buff probably to do it though. Takes a bit of time and a lot of mana. What a champion.
Fun. Gameplay.
We've been seeing Senna bans, I think, all weekend. And this is why. It's not because of just Senna. It's because when Senna has a Tahm Kench to support, it's just gross.
A little bit frustrating when you, as the AD carry, are this far ahead in the CS department, but unable to really make things matter. One good bullet time in that previous 4-man Shockwave. That's all we've seen come out of Vital so far. Now he needs to put up a strong base defense. He's sitting in mid lane right now. Tien is hunting.
Yeah, they just can't really defend. Tien is the only person who's stepping up a little bit too far there. He can't really deal with Vital in the one-on-one, but the rest of the team's just winning. And the pressure clearly brings the rest of the Dials towards that middle lane. So Chiefs will get the free inhibitor off the Baron, as they should. Chippy's still not being there, though he has the teleport. Makes things very difficult for them to defend.
completely pushes in top wave as the crash is in.
And I did misspeak before when I said that the center would start farming once he hit that support item upgrade. What it seems is that they're really just going to both stop farming and become supports for the rest of the team.
Yeah.
And clearly big CS league growing for the jungler makes you wonder how that is the case. Well, that could be a part of it. Thumpkin's still going to be the primary farmer of the two, though, if you had to pick one. Senna just so efficient with her passive stacks.
Yeah.
I think that's got to be a lot of why.
As the Executioner's online as well. Making it very easy to spread across multiple members with the kit that she has at her disposal. And Chiefs will take this moment to reset, re-establish what items they need to take themselves forward into this game to close it out. 31 minutes in, 9 kills to 4. They're on Soul Point. And it is an Ocean Drake. Plenty of sustain, which, quite honestly, it's been so damn annoying for them to try and take down the likes of Korea CK
Oh yeah,
already.
they don't. An Ocean Drake Soul kind of just ends this game for the. They can just hang around.
Direwolves need to find some love, and they need to find it quickly.
No one needs to get in team fight healing back. No one wants to verse a Tahm Kench that has that. No one wants to verse an Akali that has that. They haven't gone for the Morellos in their builds right now, so the healing cut is missing completely. Yeah. There's no Executioners calling, and Ocean Drake, especially when it becomes the Soul, you need to have that healing cut preemptively.
We need an Executioners on Vital, or we need to look towards the Morellos on Shock. 2 minutes on that Drake as Chiefs continue to pressure this base. Full scatter flash, Croc will take that, instantly disengaging. No tier 2 turrets remain now. Chippy's continuously away from the team.
It's about to show in bottom lane as well. It's a super wave, so it's pretty time consuming to clear that one. The Chiefs are able to pressure top lane. They're going to choose not to overcommit themselves though with the Baron gone. In fact, they are going to Chippies.
Well, they want to contest him. Tien was on the hunt.
Croc no ult.
If they can pick up Chippies here, it faults their plan pretty big.
It's just going to take a while. It should be a kill. It's just going to take some time.
Find a fair bit of time actually drawing down the aggro of 4 Chief members. As you say, yep. It's going to take a lot of time. Still living.
It's just going to take some time.
What did Direwolves manage to find amongst that little skirmish? Managed to find some pressure in top.
They get some resets. That's what they get. They get to push their waves out. They get to go back to base and shop. That's probably still a win for the Direwolves as long as nothing happens in the time that Chippies is dead. Very hard for them to prepare for objectives though. So all of the vision control will be there for the Chiefs at whatever objective they choose, which clearly is going to be the Ocean Soul right now. So this is the last chance for Direwolves realistically in this game to bring it back in some way. But they have a set who is dead for 15 more seconds.
And before that, engage on towards Chippies. They couldn't check any brush. They had no vision. They were far too scared to do it. And if you look at the map right now, it's lit up blue, primarily around this Drake. With Baron now spawning on your screen in the top left. Chiefs will know exactly where you are if you show face bottom side.
Jarvan has got the shockwave.
He's looking for it. He goes for the flash shockwave. Actually, flash can close him. Big bullet time on the back line as Shock locks himself in place with the Zonias. Chippies goes in for the big slam dunk. Tien survives on 10 health and he flashes away. He won't die. What can they find in this situation as Chippies compels the aggro of multiple members, getting himself a double kill. This could be the turnaround though. Vital, uncontested. He survives amongst it all. But Claire pumps out so much damage, but Vital has insane lifesteal! His lifesteal is crazy! And Direwolves, amongst it all, Mages come out ahead on this one. He picks up a shutdown.
That was so much healing! And even with healing cut available on the center, they don't find the ability to auto-attack Vital because he's dead. They win the team fight. They save the Drake unless Korea CK pulls out a miracle. Here's a tanky boy. But now it's out of Q range, so he's going to ult in. He wants to crack. He's just going to take the Drake in front of him.
What is happening
Oh,
right
can
now,
he do it?
He doesn't get it. He doesn't get it. The
He
members
has
come
smite.
in. Oh, man.
With Unstilled Spellbook, he had the smite he was looking for. That was a couple of HP away, though, from just clutching for his team. We'll see this again, because the only Shockwave that connects in this one is Shockwave and goodbye as he dies. Unfortunately, Claire puts a sombrero down. That could have actually just won the game for the Chiefs if that Shockwave had connected, so keep that in mind. Now, Chippies comes into the fray. Massive showing on this set. Uses the stopwatch to buy time for his cooldowns. And Mir, of course, the role of the champion is that he dies and just does the damage that he can in the meanwhile. And the amount of time that Chippy's bought, again, gets the cooldowns back, 2 rotations of the W off, Vital gets all of his health back. Now we just get to watch Baron. We don't get to watch the rest of the team fight.
Well, this game is close. Still a 4K lead for the Chiefs. Baron acquired by the Direwolves.
It is still Chiefs in the driver's seat, but with that Baron, the momentum can shift. They were, I would say, 1 Shockwave away from ending the game.
Well, I even called it, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, now we're 3,000 gold difference at 36 minutes. Starting to become more and more negligible, and we just hit team fighting. It's hard to say which team you would rather be, though it is pretty easy to be a Jarvan and Orianna.
Absolutely.
With a center.
It's a bread and butter combination. But Vital's self-sustain is disgusting. Tien, you saw at the start of that fight, tried to jump in and try to snipe him out. Unable to do that, forced to flash away. He's taken out the fight straight away. From that point onwards, Vital was able to live. As we now look for an exchange. Potential skirmish.
The Shockwave.
Shockwave
misses.
not gonna hit at all.
Direwolves may want to go on the offensive now. Hard to do. Note, compositionally, they always want to have the Jarvan engaging on them if they can. They want to be able to kite back and outplay, but with the Baron buff, with the Shockwave missing, and that being on cooldown, they do have the chance to go forwards. Misfortune can hit the ultimate now that there's no Shockwave to cancel it. So they have the team fighting capabilities.
Direwolves don't fall victim to the surprise Shockwave. That could have turned things around and nullify what that Baron buff was looking to achieve.
This was building up to be a blowout. Suddenly, it's closer than you would have expected, given the trajectory of the game.
No QSS on Vital. He's got that GA. Doesn't care about the CC bots that are bot lane for Chiefs. He wants a second chance at turning this fight around, and rightfully so after that last team fight performance. Chippies is a monster. 1 damage item, and after that, full tank mode.
Yeah, the Frozen Mallet's actually very annoying. Don't often get to see that one. Bit of a Gnar build. But if he punches you once, he's going to lock you down for many punches afterwards. And now that he's actually completed that Gargoyle Stone Plate, even harder to take down. More time purchased for those cooldown resets.
Vital is a farming god at 406 CS. He's full item. He's complete.
Yeah. It's so weird, again, looking at the CS differences. If you actually calculate with supports in, he's still massively ahead for sure. But we don't know the gold income of Senna. We know that like 114 stacks is an absurdly high number for him right now, so he is starting to become really long range, nearing that 750 mark.
My concern still is, though, Rusty, there is no healing cut on the side of Direwolves. Next, Drake will decide who gets the soul.
Yeah, true.
A minute up on it. Both have 2 to their name. Once that soul's online.
But no Morellos for the mid laner of Chiefs here either, as it is the Athene's unholy grail that he has opted towards. And if you want to speak about healing cut, Cassiopeia's got a decent amount of healing from the Twin Fangs, and we just watched what a Misfortune could do. There's a redemption there for the Karma too, so maybe could have been the item of choice.
Now Tien has pinged top because it's pushing in. He's looking to try and potentially go towards an inhibitor. Draw Direwolves back from this mid lane as the ARAM continues and say, look, if they show top, we can establish control over this Drake.
This dance is just around mid lane right now, but you can see based on the posturing, the position of both of these teams, it's very clear that Drake is going to be where the focus shifts towards. Direwolves have placed incredibly deep wards.
Yes.
So they're not looking at the mid lane as much as they are the jungle right now. And knowing the way the Chiefs play, they're probably just going to use the Jarvan and engage through the mid lane if that's where the Direwolves stay. So They need to actually move themselves as the Drake spawns, which they are, towards the river to utilize some kind of vision control.
No hesitation, straight away on towards it. They're going to get it. No contest, no smite still. The fight takes place. Croc jumps in and he gets devoured out, but straight into a bullet time. Direwolves are taking this fight as Chippy joins in. The rest of Chiefs have to disengage straight away. They were stuck on the ramp without an entrance to enter. No opportunity to even showcase what they can do in a full 5v5.
And Tien may be spending an extra wave too long in top lane. This shockwave could actually be used to clear the wave if he wanted to, but the Karma Shield would prevent anyone from taking damage. No shockwave able to even be there. The Jarvan just looking for the steal with how quickly Direwolves started and took that one away. Chiefs out of position. Now they're pushing mid.
Shockwave onto 2, just no follow-up.
And they break it, Skimmy.
Inhibitor falls on down swiftly. Mid lane is opened up. And Direwolves take back firm control of this gold lead, hitting 70k first.
And you don't want to jinx it. 41 minutes into this game, you can't possibly jinx it, but the Direwolves have brought it back from the brink. They've got an inhibitor. And they're facing down the undefeated Chiefs. If there's ever a statement that you wanted to make that says we're not just in the top 3, we're fighting for that top spot, it would be a game like this.
Direwolves definitely no stranger to these long games. Currently holding the record for the longest at 51 minutes only last week. And this is the question that many have asked. Once again, I'll bring it back to the start of this game. What is the best way to bring it to Chiefs? Chiefs love to go for team fights. Direwolves have slowed this down completely. And the macro has been working. The patience has been rewarded.
Chance Kenchel's in the mid lane. They want to force priority on the middle wave itself. Super Minions kind of do that for the Direwolves. They've had control of the map. They're hitting Baron. Tien is split pushing bot lane. So they need to do something fast here.
Flash haymaker from Chippy to try and take out Croc. Disengage, make sure there's no smite to steal this one. Who's going to pick it up right now? It will be the Direwolves. Mirror finds it. Massive cataclysm onto 3 right now. Do they have the damage? Vital can do it all.
He may have just saved the game by staying alive. Chippy's recalls to defend the base. And with the Baron recall, gets it off. I think Direwolves have just stayed alive. Look at Vital.
He is insane. Runs to the alcove, takes on 1. He says, come at me.
They need to kill Vital. They can't find him. He's too quick. They've only just spotted him now.
So much mobility. Oh no.
He can kill them.
Akali has found him.
He's just going to kill them all.
He doesn't even have a chance to use the Zonias.
Vital can win the game by himself with the lifesteal that he has on this Misfortune. And there is no cut to his healing to stop him right now.
He chooses not to stick around. Mid lane will push him passively. Chippies is preparing the bottom lane as well.
That was tense though.
Very.
Tien could have won the game himself just by split pushing if that was any slower by the Direwolves. The pressure was on.
One Nexus turret did fall on the base of the Direwolves.
If Croc steals that, it's a different story, but Mir kicks him away on the Lee Sin. It's one of those fights where you don't want to say it's a 50-50 because Direwolves were set up and prepared much sooner, but the pressure was on. That's what you get against a top team like the Chiefs. Even in a deficit, they'll find a way to pressure you, to make it difficult. They make you work for that, even if you have a lead.
Boots are gone. Phantom Dancer is here. More shields.
Vital's just disgusting.
More of a buffer to survive. You have to imagine he's running Legend Bloodline as well, because the guy does one auto attack and he's back to full health.
Teleports in from Shock. They're not going to be able to defend those cannons with the Baron in power. They're looking.
They are indeed. They're looking to try and take out Croc from the mix. He popped the stone plate, but it's just not enough. The sniper comes in too little, too late. 3-man Shockwave, only dropping him to half. They need follow-up. Chiefs are getting worried.
Yeah, the Shockwave's gone though, so Claire hits 3, and yes, he chunks them down, but he doesn't get the kills. They heal through, they reset, and now they're pressuring with a numbers advantage. They will break a second inhibitor here, almost guaranteed. Do they push towards the end?
Look at the sustain, just to top up that Shock is getting from this Ocean Shoal. Down to half, back to full.
They're pushing. They aren't going to go for the third inhibitor. They want to end the game right now.
They want to cause
the second upset of the day. They want to cause history right now to make sure that Chiefs will not remain undefeated. The first Nexus turret falls on down. Members of Chiefs go down too. Chiefs suffer defeat, and Direwolves take down first place.
It was a tough week for the Direwolves. They had Legacy on Friday, and they had the Chiefs today. And once again, one shockwave away from losing that game is how close that was. They're able to pull out the victory. Vital, absolutely insane on the misfortune with his lifesteal. Puts in some serious work, legitimately stood still in that fight. It makes the difference. They all chase him after the Barret as well, and he just kills them all one at a time. Direwolves, they cement themselves as a top 3 team. And they say we're not just third in that top 3, we want to fight for the top spot.
They upset the top pack. They've run the gauntlet this week, and they have come out with a victory.
Also, just quietly watch it back, because Chippy's with one of the biggest roars that I've ever seen from a player after a win. He was shaking the camera.
Means a lot to these players right now, and rightfully so. The top 3 has had a bit of a disturbance today. Week 6, that midway point, that moment of madness is really showcased here today. The Direwolves are here to play. And for the Chiefs, feels like Croc is taking it the hardest.
This has been a crazy week of OPL. You think about all the results that we've had. What a wild, wild week.
Predictions are out the window, but analysts are still in the building, so let's throw it back to the couch.
I mean, this has to be the most bass-ackwards, nutty weekend we've had in the OPL so far.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that if you look at how many teams that were lower on the ladder beat teams above them, it's pretty crazy, especially given the fact that both of our top 2 teams dropped a game this weekend, which to me is the biggest surprise. Coming into a week of death like Chiefs Legacy, obviously you're always optimistic if you're a team like the Direwolves, but they nearly should have won both of those games, and they did end up handing the Chiefs their first defeat of the season.
Absolutely. Shock.
Hey.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I mean, upstairs, we were like, Jake's going at the beginning of that match. He's like, you can't kill Tom. Tom, he's just like a thick toad that's just going to run around the entire game, unkillable, unstoppable. And you guys pulled it out. How do you feel?
Well, I think it was a really stressful game, but I'm super happy that our hard work's been paying off. So yeah, it feels really good.
So talk to me about that hard work, because we've been hearing rumblings behind the scenes about how the Direwolves lineup is emerging. They're getting up there, that they should be considered one of the top 3. It's not a top 2. What has been happening behind the scenes, and how does it feel to show it on Summoner's Rift?
I'd say we had a lot of problems at the start where in scrims, the language barrier is not so intense because the comms are a lot more calm. But on stage, everyone ends up getting hyped, and it's hard enough for me to understand, right? So for our 2 Koreans, it's really hard, and we'd had games lost due to, macro miscommunications. But I think now, they're both getting a lot better. Midu's already good, and Insung's getting a lot better. And also just our team as a whole, through practice, is starting to know what to do without someone having to tell them, So it's becoming a lot easier just to do stuff and more seamless, yeah.
And when we look at your team, despite the 17-year-old Korean, who obviously I assume isn't shot calling, you guys kind of have a bunch of journeymen, but never really have seemed to be the captain or the guy on the team. Who is leading that charge, and who is kind of taking over the comms?
I'd say in the game, Chippies is the one that calms us down, but everyone is making calls, and that's why we need to be calmed down.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, congratulations. Oh, do you have one more?
Yeah, I was going to ask one more question.
Please.
Which is, you're playing Cassiopeia into a comp that pure purpose is to run at you.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure. How do you think you went this game?
Yeah, well, when I was pretty confident first picking Cassio early, because I think Claire is an insanely good team fighter, but I think I'm stronger than him in lane, so I thought I could get away with the Cassio pick. But when I saw their comp, I felt pretty scared. But I have a couple thousand Cassio games under my belt, so I think I did okay.
Yeah, I would agree.
Direwolves living up to the George R.R. Martin Game of Thrones legacy, because they are also Kingslayers. What a game, what a result, what a weekend here at the OPL. Let's take a look at the games we saw today, because some nutty stuff happened. Gravitas taking down Legacy, probably the nuttiest of the nutty stuff.
Is this correct? Did 3 teams that didn't have side selection actually win today?
It is correct.
That's bonkers. Coaching staff, get your shit together. Pick the right side of Summoner's Rift for your team. That's actually blown my mind. But yeah, Gravitas, big upset over Legacy, and then Direwolves kind of complete the upset weekend by taking the W over the Chiefs Esports Club.
Absolutely. Chiefs do take a win today with game number 2 and Pentanet.gg obviously taking game number 3. Let's take a look at the standings. How much has this affected the overall result? Not that much, but it is the beginning of something. As Rusty and I would say, it is the beginning of the run. Chiefs still in the top spot with just one loss to their name. Legacy number 2 Direwolves cementing at 3rd. Order actually above Pentanet, I believe. Yep. Pentanet is, I'm just looking at the maths there. Pentanet.gg are actually 5th. Then it's Avant, Gravitas, and Mammoth rounding out the table, but still such good boys, and the run is on. Let's take a look at the schedule for next week. Hopefully some true bangers on there like we saw this week. Direwolves versus Avant for game number 1. PGG take on Legacy for game 2. Avant taking on Gravitas game 3. And rounding out the eve, Chiefs versus Legacy for game 4.
And Shock, you played both of these teams this weekend. Chiefs versus Legacy. The OPL Classico is going to be back. Who you got?
I think Chiefs will probably win.
Okay. Why?
I think Legacy without Eminez, they're kind of a one carry team right now, and I think even though Raze is really good, it's very hard to be the solo carry because you can get banned out or targeted in game. So I think that's like really hard. But Chiefs, on the other hand, I think they're much more well-rounded and they're like a strong team, so I think they'll take it.
All right.
There you go. Big words, but he's killed kings, so he can say whatever he wants on this show. Let's take a look at the OPL anime winners for this week. We got some fantastic submissions. We have 3 winners for you. Obviously, they're getting skins. They're getting champs winner number 1. What is that name?
It's Theon set, and that's from
Theon
Young
Squiddy, I believe. That is Theon on set. That is an amazing picture.
He is jacked.
Shock, is that Theon in real life?
I guess so, yeah.
You guess so?
Yeah, he looks pretty huge.
I was expecting you to just like trash talk him.
No,
but
man, he's huge.
He's huge?
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of respect going on for Theon around the place. He's very unassuming. We've got to watch out for him. We'll take a look for the second winner. Please bring it up. This is a 10-year-old girl, Meg Mediocre. I'm being told she's 11. It makes all the difference. This is no longer impressive. Congratulations to Meg Mediocre, to either you or your daughter. I'm not sure which one.
How does it feel to have just broken an 11-year-old girl's heart?
Yeah.
No comment.
He's a smart man.
Meg, please draw something for Shock because he's your new hero. And finally, I'm sure Jake would be happy about this one. Fedora the Explorer's Twisted Fate. This was one of the budget cosplays, and he drew himself. We can't say anything, like, you can't say the man doesn't have a bulging ego.
Yeah, or like just undying like willpower despite being shut down many a time.
That's true.
The drawing is better than the real life experience.
And famously, the first pair of nipples on the OPL. So there you
Oh
go.
god, no more nipple talk.
But it was not the last. So a reminder to send in your anime drawings here to the OPL. All you need to do is tweet them to us at OPL or put them on the Facebook page, and you can win yourself some very lovely skins. This week it was the Black Frost Champions range. So awesome skins from this range. Shock, what's your favorite of the new set?
I think Rek'Sai is one of the new ones, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love the Rek'Sai one.
Yeah, it's very, very cool. And obviously, if you don't have the skin, you also get the champion. That potentially will be the same skins next week.
If you're a mid laner and you just want a skin, think about picking up Black Frost Anivia, because Anivia is being buffed on the PvE, where her ultimate is no longer stopped by CC, which is just stupid. She's going to be like, if she's anywhere near playable in mid lane, that is a buff that will make games go for an hour and a half again.
A good company man here making you buy more money and buying those skins. Something else you should do is hang around for the OPL, obviously all split, but in 2 weeks' time, we are partnering with Headspace for the Recall and Restore weekend. It is the National Day Against Violence and Bullying. We'll be doing all sorts of great informative segments over the course of that weekend, and we're really proud to be
You're real
partnering
confident on that one.
with, well, it's because they're not going to be run by me. They've been prepared by someone who actually knows what they're talking about. So we would love to see you there. It's a worthy cause. It's a great thing that affects all of us. All right, Shock, you're done.
Thanks, man.
Your
Free to
something
go.
is over. Yes, what's his over? What's the saying? Your watch is over. Thank you. Your watch is ended. You know nothing, Shock. But congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
Have a well-deserved rest this week, but not too much because you obviously have your work cut out for you next week. We have our work cut out for us now for the MPL. That is Skimmy, Rusty, Spawn, and myself will be joining you after this short break. We'll see you all next week. We'll see you in a couple of minutes for the MPL.
That's massive, but the turnaround with the bullet time is that much bigger. Tien is on his own. He wants the kills. He's deep in the jungle. He may just find what he's after. Slam dunk disaster. That's the one kill that they'll find. Here's Chippies goes in for the big slam dunk. Tien survives on 10 health, and he flashes away. He won't die. What can they find in this situation as Chippies compels the aggro of multiple members? Flash haymaker from Chippies to try and take out Croc. Disengage, make sure there's no smite to steal this one. Who's gonna pick it up right now? It will be the Direwolves. Miri finds it. Massive cataclysm onto 3 right now. Do they have the damage? Vital can do it all. They want to cause the second upset of the day. They want to cause history right now to make sure that Chiefs will not remain undefeated. The first Nexus turret falls on down. Members of Chiefs go down too. Chiefs suffer defeat, and Direwolves take down first place.
Feeling the heat? Grab a pineapple or pineberry frozen Fanta mix at Macca's. With 36 flavours, it's the largest range in Australia. Grab one for only $1. A little goes a long way at Macca's.
Oh, that's how you want to play it.